Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to another entry of, I guess, the Mastering Magic Mana Deprived Edition. Mr. Scotty Mack here. I am joined by the wonderful Lily. Wave hello.
Hello.
You can't see her, she's underneath, but that's fine. I am also, of course, joined by my fellow Team Geist PIC. I have with me, there she is. I have also Jason Clark with me, the real evil genius himself, the man that put me onto the deck. Streamer in his own right over at Legit MTG. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you. And
So, what we've got on tap here is we, of course, are both headed to Baltimore this weekend. We're recording this before the tournament so that we could make sure that I filled my content quotient of the day. But also, I'm sure people will be asking all about the deck after both of us crush the tournament with it. So I know if any of you have been following the stream lately or the articles, basically what you will have come to is that we've been on a 4-color, basically a 3.5 color version, as I like to call it, where we've basically just been splashing black for Lingering Souls. Last couple weeks rather, I've been trying out some core Firewalkers in the side deck just because mono red is everywhere and it's such a coin flip until you land a core Firewalker that I really just wanted a more firm trump for that match. So after cutting sort of one of the souls and one of the stances to fit in 2 Firewalkers, so I had 2 Firewalkers and 2 Lingering Souls, ultimately we just kind of asked ourselves, why are we playing Lingering Souls if we're only on 2? And so it kind of came to us, we were playing Souls because we wanted a trump for the match, for the Abzan match in particular.
I
Yeah. And then what we ended up doing was I watched Sean McLaren's videos on Premium, and of course he was playing Sowers at the Pro Tour, and then he did a video series where he took his version of Geist and jammed 4 Sower of Temptation in the sideboard because Junk doesn't beat that card. And so I guess we kind of just thought, is that a reasonable trump for the Abzan match, and what other matches could we put it in, and what's the benefit? What are the other benefits of doing it? And ultimately, what it came down to was we were able to go back to our 3-color mana base that we were playing in Boston.
Yeah, which is huge, by the way.
Yeah.
Really, really big. There's so many times that I've just had issues with having to shock myself with the extra shock lands that we were playing. That since cutting them, I've had I don't know. It just seems like that extra 2 or 4 points of life matters in the course of the game.
Yeah, by a lot, actually,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm finding. There's a lot of edges that you can get in this, with this deck in the format, but a lot of them are close races, right? So if you're shocking yourself for the extra 2, the extra 4, I mean, 4 damage is a Rhino landing that doesn't kill you. Or a lightning bolt that doesn't kill you. So these things became really relevant, and ultimately, now Jason, you've been playing Sower now for like a week and a half, right?
Yeah, it's a little over a week now. I've been playtesting it basically in my house with my roommates.
Sure.
They pilot either one will pilot Abzan while I pilot our Geist deck. We play a couple of pre-boarded games and then 4 or 5 post-boarded games. And man, I can tell you, Sower is. This card may actually just be the real deal for the matchup that we want. There's times where the first thing is it really taxes their removal, right? They're playing a couple paths, maybe a couple dismember, and 1 pulse. That's their removal suite. They can actually hit Sower because Abrupt Decay doesn't do anything against it. And then they also have to answer all of our other things with their removal, like our Angels and our Batterskull sometimes, and or you can get them to use their removal early on a Snapcaster Mage so that they can Lily your Geist. So you can put this in this position where they just don't have removal left in their hand, and you slam Sower and take their Rhino or their Goyf, and they're way behind because not only did they just lose a creature, but you essentially just gained 2.
Yeah, and for the price of 4 mana, you could upwards of double up that mana investment. Correct. So if they spent 3 on a or 4 on a Rhino, then you're just taking that 4 right back, and then they're way on the heel.
Yep, and then the other thing is sometimes sure they'll have the removal spell, but sometimes they won't have it till a turn or 2 later, and then if you have a Restoration Angel in hand when they go for that removal spell, it's an even more massive blowout.
Restoration Angel has the unique text, of course, of exiling target non-angel creature you control, then returning that card to the battlefield under your control. So if you blink one of your stolen creatures with a Restoration Angel, it becomes yours permanently, which is very exciting.
Oh yeah, I have restoed many a rhino so far. So it's also there's also the thing where like maybe you don't want to resto the rhino or whatever you've stolen because you actually want to have three creatures after.
Sure.
So you may just like resto your sower, in which case what happens is like they get their whatever creature you stole back, and then you just take it back once the sower comes back into play. But the sower is a new creature, so it makes their removal spell fizzle, and you're left with like three creatures, which they're probably just straight up dead.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's been sort of the one major change that's worth noting. The other one, of course, is that we get back two utility lands instead of the shocks. One of them, of course, is the Iganjo Castle, which has been supremely good to battle the Lingering Souls, actually. You know, we've got Vendilion Click, which is a legendary creature, and Geist Trapped, obviously, which is a legendary creature. And having that land on the table with either one of those gives us the capacity to basically like bash in with impunity against, you know, one half of that card.
Yep. And there's been a lot of like times where your Abzan opponent doesn't play both halves at once. They only play one half for whatever reason. And so, like, the Iganjo Castle just lets you get in against those for free, essentially. There's also times where, like, their Goyf is only a 3/4.
Yeah.
And it just lets you bash into that.
So, very, very important. And it really, like, it increases the effectiveness of Geist Trapped as a threat, which, you know, in a lot of those sort of mid-range green-black X matchups, a lot of people basically just discount him as, you know, useless because he gets stonewalled. But, you know, Iganjo Castle does a really good job of helping to push through that. And if the trades do end up happening and you are sort of in that, you know, versus the green-black mid-range deck and you're doing a lot of the grind and the creatures are beating each other up and killing each other, well, then there's this really amazing land which we really leaned on pretty heavily. We all know the value of a spirit token. Moorland Haunt lets us put them into play from our graveyard for basically free.
Yeah. I mean, we don't use our dead creatures once they're gone. And so now we have a way to use them. Like, it just gives us an extra resource.
Yeah.
An extra way to attack from that our opponents have to at least respect.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, they do a really good job of blocking everything that's not a rhino. Yeah. So in a worst case scenario, that's definitely where we're at on it. So yeah, so that's the list as it is. Like I said, we've got the 3 core Firewalkers in, I think, which seems to be correct. I mean, Blue Red Delver won the last SCG event. Burn is obviously a really big fight, really big game. It put 2 slots, I think 4 slots in the top 16 of the SCG Modern event last, and it was one of the top played decks, of course, going into day 2 at GP Vancouver. So we want to make sure that we're prepared for it, and I've not lost a single game where I've resolved a core Firewalker against Burn. Just has not happened.
Yep. They have a couple ways to get around it, but not too many.
Yeah. So it's been very promising, and that's the list. So basically what we're going to do tonight is we're going to jam through some games and record them. We're going to talk through play lines, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. And let's get on to some games.